What happens when hundreds of US F-15 fighter jets suddenly land on Poland's doorstep, just miles from Russia's border? Is this a drill or the first spark of something far bigger? The roar of jet engines over Eastern Europe. The thunder of afterburners cutting through the Polish sky. For many in Warsaw, it was a breathtaking reassurance. For Moscow, it was a wake-up call. Hundreds of American F-15 fighters, backed by thousands of elite U.S. troops, suddenly arrived at Poland's border air base. The question hanging in the air was as chilling as it was inevitable. Is this just a show of force, or the first step towards something much bigger? Before we dive in, let's be clear. This video is about analysis, not advocacy. We are not cheering for war. We are here to understand the balance of power, to explore why these deployments matter, and to ask, what happens next when the world's strongest military makes such a bold move? Let's rewind. For over a year, NATO's eastern flank has been buzzing with activity. Russian drones violating borders, ballistic missile drills in Kaliningrad, NATO intercepts, red alerts, and tense consultations. But then came a moment that shifted the tone entirely. Dozens upon dozens of American F-15 Eagles jets that have dominated the skies since the Cold War landed in Powidz Air Base. Not one or two, not a symbolic flight, hundreds, accompanied by armor, artillery, and boots on the ground. This wasn't symbolic, it was substantial. If Moscow thought it could intimidate NATO with drones, then seeing entire squadrons of F-15s lined up on Polish runways must have felt like trying to bring a slingshot to a tank battle. The F-15 is not just another fighter jet. It's a legend. Since its debut in the 1970s, it has earned a combat record that is simply unrivaled. Over 100 aerial victories, 0 losses. The F-15EX, the newest variant, takes that fearsome reputation and supercharges it. Imagine the raw power of the original Eagle, but with state-of-the-art avionics, digital warfare systems, and the ability to carry up to 22 air-to-air missiles. That's not just a fighter jet, it's a flying arsenal. Think about that for a second. While many countries brag about stealth or fancy maneuvers, the F-15EX focuses on dominance. It doesn't hide. It doesn't need to. It stares the enemy right in the face and says, "Good luck getting past this." And when you deploy not one or two but hundreds of them to the edge of NATO's frontier, you not whispering a message, you shouting it so loudly even the Kremlin can't pretend not to hear. So here's the question. Does Russia even have enough modern, reliable aircraft to counter an air wall like this? Or are we watching a game that was decided before kickoff? Now, let's add another layer. The troops. Alongside the fighters, thousands of elite U.S. soldiers have been sent to Poland. Not just infantry, but armor, logistics, air defense units. Think Abrams tanks rolling down highways. Think HIMARS rocket systems tucked in the Polish forest, ready to move and fire at a moment's notice. Think Patriot missile batteries already proven against hypersonic threats like Russia's Kinzhal. This is not just reinforcement. This is transformation. To Moscow, this deployment must feel like watching the chessboard flip. The Kremlin gambled that NATO was divided, slow, unwilling to escalate. But instead of hesitation, they got escalation on NATO's terms. Of course, Russian state TV will claim otherwise. They'll point to the Su-57 stealth fighter. They'll boast about the MiG-31 with its hypersonic missiles. But let's be honest, those are more often headlines than realities. The Su-57 exists in single digits. The MiG-31 is fast, yes, but it's also older than most of the pilots flying it. Meanwhile, the F-15EX comes in numbers, with proven reliability, with a logistical network that stretches across the globe. It's the difference between showing off a prototype at an air show and showing up with a fleet that's ready to fight tonight. And Poland is not just a backdrop here. For Warsaw, this is both reassurance and responsibility. Hosting this level of use power means Poland is now more central to NATO than ever before. It's not just a frontline state. It's a hub, a launch pad, a symbol of the alliance's seriousness. For Polish citizens, the sight of F-15s circling above their towns is a guarantee that if the storm comes, the skies will not be left undefended. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some analysts suggest Russia might actually want this. Could the Kremlin be intentionally provoking NATO, forcing deployments that strain resources, hoping to stretch the alliance thin? It's a tempting theory. But deployments like this don't weaken NATO. They strengthen it. They build unity. If this was meant to be a trap, it might just be Russia that finds itself cornered. So is this a masterstroke of deterrence by the U.S.? Or did Moscow just stumble into the biggest strategic miscalculation of the decade? Because the reality is this: when you combine hundreds of F-15EX fighters, thousands of used troops, and Poland's own growing arsenal, including soon-to-arrive F-35 stealth jets, you get a force that no Russian general can ignore. This isn't about one border incursion or one skirmish. This is about shaping the battlefield before the first shot is ever fired. And yet, the biggest question remains unanswered. Is this preparation for war, or the very thing that prevents it? History shows that strength often deters aggression. Weakness invites it. By deploying so much power so quickly, the U.S. and NATO may actually be reducing the chance of wider conflict. But the optics, the timing, it all feels like the world is inching closer to a line nobody wants to cross. So where does that leave us? With a paradox. On one hand, Poland is safer than ever before. On the other, the world is reminded that great powers are staring each other down, closer than at any time in decades. The payoff is simple yet profound. The U.S. has proven it can move overwhelming force to Europe in days, not months. Russia has been reminded that intimidation comes with consequences. And the world has been shown that in the face of uncertainty, NATO's shield is as real as the roar of an eagle overhead. The real question now is not whether Russia panics, but whether it recalculates or doubles down.